Hey, what's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to the channel. My name is Mark. Please remember to slash that like button and annihilate that subscribe button and hit that post notification bell. Also, leave me comments down below. But I think I've talked enough, so let's just jump straight into these videos. Let's go!
They call me Megatron. Shorty's a megacon. It ain't a
Ooh, I like this beat.
Strong players, please love me like you love my every single song. Since my first October 5th, both my fucking palms itch. Make myself millions, but that's not what I call rich. Once I told my mom this, you are not my mom, bitch. You stole me from my family, fed me from the wrong tits. Please forgive your youngest son, you know I'll fucking die for you. Lonely, you're my life, you're in almost every rhyme I do. Can't you see I'm dying from the pain that I brought to us? It's obvious, my conscience just won't let me live anonymous. I'm exposed like kleptos. Just interview my ex-hoes. They'll tell you that I use them, then use them on my best flows. SPM have blessed the world. How did they return my love? Friends try to kill me, and now they give me nervous hugs. Still my flow's the perfect drug. Jordans push the red phone. Consider it a privilege to listen to the best born.
But they got your boy debating if I lost it. Who would know except God? Maybe Satan, so I sit and awake. Steady contemplating no peace on the streets. Must release.
I like this.
But they got your boy debating if I lost it. Who would know except God? Maybe Satan, so I sit and awake. Steady contemplating no peace on the streets. Must release my frustration.
Yeah, I hollered for police and Tootie tried warning me, but I met those bitches that's abusing their authority. I know you got some good cops, plus I know your job's hard. Some have gotten killed cause they walked up to the wrong car.
Come on!
That I consider heroes. Lots of men in uniforms that act like fucking real hoes. Guess y'all hate the Mexican. Maybe how the things change, the accents, the restaurants. To you it must seem strange, but we have the same dreams. Want the joy that peace brings. Thanksgiving Day, the only day I didn't eat beans. God gave us X-ray to see past the skin tone. Don't you know that all of us were born from one rib bone? But
come on!
That 1950 racist shit. Hating bitch, can't you fucking see you sucking Satan's dick? I ain't saying rival me, but damn, am I the rival me? Seem like everybody's singing Ebony and Ivory.
Oh, I like this because he is definitely snapping and he's definitely talking about real life issues and things that we go through in life, and you can tell that he's letting out his frustrations, no pun intended, with the track being called Frustration, but you can tell he's channeling his aggression on this track and just letting his voice be heard because he's like sick of like basically the world that we're living in and the world that's revolving around us, and like with all the hatred and the mistreatment and just everything, and he's fed up and he's channeling that aggression and he's letting it out on this track. And I love that he's sitting there having that introspective view of it and sitting there taking his energy and channeling it and using it in that avenue and putting it into his music. I like that. I think that's so dope.
The only day I didn't eat beans. God gave us X-ray to see past the skin tone. Don't you know that all of us were born from one rib bone? Or do you have that syndrome, that 1950 racist shit? Hating bitch, can't you fucking see you sucking Satan's dick?
That was a bar.
Damn, am I the rival me? Seem like everybody's singing Ebony and Ivory.
But they got your boy debating if I lost it. Who would know except God? Maybe Satan, so I sit and awake. Steady contemplating no peace on the streets. Must release my frustration. But they got your
America, America. What, you ain't proud of me? All the freeways built, you throw me out the country. It's not my fault, I thought George had chopped down the plum tree. No players, so we have no place to call home. Vocals spread or locals try their best to put our songs on.
Oh, come on.
And that's what I call bravery. Just one show that's saving us and showing love from A to Z.
Tonight, nothing catch a boy debating if I lost it. No one knew except God, maybe Satan. So I sit and I wait, steady contemplating. No peace on the streets, must release my frustration. Tonight, nothing catch a boy debating if I lost it. No one knew except God, maybe Satan. So I sit and I wait, steady contemplating. No peace on the streets, must release my frustration. Tonight, nothing catch a boy debating if I lost it. No one knew except God, maybe Satan. So I sit and I wait, steady contemplating. No peace on the streets, must release my frustration.
That was dope. I like that. That was amazing. I like that. Okay, so I quickly want to sit here and talk about SPM with frustration. And what I like about this track is, the reason why I like this track and the reason why I go so hard for SPM is because of the simple fact is that SPM has so much courage, and he's not afraid to take a stand and speak out against like the mistreatment of his people and just mistreatment of people just in mankind in general, just an overall arching thing about people who are disenfranchised. It takes a lot of courage to sit there and be able to put yourself out there, to be able to be criticized by the world, and to sit there and put it on full display, and to sit there and have people sit there and pick apart you as a person, pick apart your lyrics, pick apart your bars, pick apart your artistry and what you deem to be like your best work, and people sitting there saying, oh, you're trash, or you're whack, or you're hot this week, or you're not hot then the next week. But what I like about SP is because he sits there and has the confidence and conviction within himself to know that he's talented, and also that he sits there and can tell a story, and he takes a political stand and a social stand and speaks for those who are disenfranchised, and he speaks for the voiceless. He's letting his frustration out and letting us know, especially on this track, how we as disenfranchised people are viewed in this world, and how we feel in this world, where other people, where I'm not artist, or anybody who's watching this reaction, we're not artists, so other people can't hear our opinions or voice our opinions unless we're talking to other lay people who we may come into contact with. But because our government isn't going to want to sit there and listen to us, because they're going to continue to try to disenfranchise us and dehumanize us, because that's the best thing, to sit there and other us and ostracize us and make us turn against each other. Whereas where you have people like SPM, and then you have people like Tupac and then Biggie, where they sat here and spoke about real life issues that affected us as people, and they spoke out about these things, and then you see what happened to them, like with the Tupac, you see, and Biggie, where they sit and they're no longer walking this earth, but they sat here and shine light on how the system disenfranchised not only black people, but they disenfranchised brown people, meaning Latino people, and just in general people just who grew up in the inner city and have to sit there and work twice as hard to get half of what the people who are living in privilege have. And it's like, that's why I go so hard for SPM, because he's able to do that, and he's able to unite everybody on so many fronts, and able to speak for the voiceless children, able to speak for the voiceless men, able to speak for the voiceless women, regardless of whatever you want to say about what he's done in the past with drugs and maybe gang affiliation, if he has those type of ties, or with court records. Put all that aside. When you sit there and listen to the artistry, and you listen to the music, and you get into the nitty gritty and like peel back the onion layers of what he speaks about and the things that he says in general, you can't help but to sit there and see this man's talent and to recognize that he's speaking about real life issues and touching upon issues that we as people have to sit there and deal with on a daily basis, that people try to hide away from, they try to shy away from, they don't want to sit there and speak about 9 times out of 10 because they feel like it's gonna sit there and not allow them to be mainstream, so they feel like they have to sit there and sell their soul because just to sit there and make it in this world. And I think that SPM sits there and unveils that and sits there and shines a light on that and sits there and says, yo, like, no, I'm disenfranchised, my people are disenfranchised, we're living in a disenfranchised environment, we're living in a system that wants to see us recycle and become and still be living this repeated cycle, like as if we're hamsters just spinning our wheels, just running and not going anywhere, and just sit there and repeat these same offenses, repeat these same things where we're kept stuck in a standstill and in disenfranchisement and disillusionment where we can't sit there and get out of it. And that's what I love about SPM, is that he's able to do things like that and be able to sit there and take a stand and voice his opinion and voice his frustration and voice his basically voice how angry he is at the way that the system is set up and the way it's set up against his people. Like, even like how he sat there and mentioned about deportation. Like, I don't see how we live within the United States when a quarter of it, when you sit there and look at the bottom, like the bottom parts of it, like Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, any other parts that you want to pick apart, and you look at it, was a part of Mexico. And then you had imperialism where they sat there and moved the borders, and they sat there and forced the borders down and forced the Mexican border down just to make it a part of the United States. And then you want to sit there and tell people to go back to their country or go back where they came from. I don't understand that. Like, that just boggles my mind, how you could sit there and tell people to go back where they came from when you are on their territory. Like, I don't get that at all. Like, stuff like that just kind of rakes my nerves and kind of bothers me to a point where people sit there and you have so much hatred going on within the world, and not enough people trying to love and uplift and trying to see that a lot of times that we live in a system where they want to sit there and see us disenfranchise each other and tear each other down and not try to lift each other up, because if we come united and come together, we are more powerful together. But to sit there and divide and to use a divide and conquer strategy is to make us weaker and to separate us as a people, and to keep them in power and to keep that cycle going with them being the rich getting richer and then the poor getting poorer and disenfranchised and living in this disillusionment, and them not seeing what reality is in the life that we have to sit there and live. So I definitely like SPM for being able to shine a light on that, and I love this track. I love how, I believe he had Carolyn on this track. Somebody got to let me know in the comments below, was that her singing on here? Because at least that's who I think that was singing on here. I'm not 100% sure, so somebody let me know in the comments below, but I think that was Carolyn Coy that was singing. But I definitely like that vibe and that added vibe on there. I love when he gives like that female presence on his tracks, because it gives it a little sense of vulnerability and softness, and also it gives a woman perspective almost as well too. So I definitely was feeling that. I would definitely give this track a 10 out of 10. I loved it. I thought SPM did a phenomenal job. And with that being said, let me know what you thought in the comments below with SPM with Frustration. And with that being said, please remember to be safe out there. Remember to stay awesome, be awesome, because you guys are all awesome. This is your boy Mark, and I'm signing off. Deuces. Peace.
They call me Megatron. Shorty's a mega con. It ain't about the race either. It's the marathon.